Hi, group. How you doing? I'm from Jersey. My name's Robbie, and I am an alcoholic. And good to see everybody at the Punta. Is that how you say it, brother? Punta house. Okay. Yeah, I still mess it up. I ain't going to be able to do that. All right. I need like a few months in jail with a couple of guys to be able to talk fluent like that. Anyhow, it's great to be here, man. My home group, the primary purpose group right here in Wildwood, New Jersey. We're at the Jersey Shore. And my sponsor is a guy named Ben N. And my permanent sobriety date is October 31st of 1983. And for all of those things, I'm eternally grateful, especially for those in Carl's houses there. Like, the cool thing is that, like, I just gave you three things. And it's kind of like when a police officer pulls you over and you're driving and he asked you for three things, right? He asked you for what? A driver's license, right? An insurance card, right? And a registration card. And if you ain't got one of those three things, usually it's like, you want to get out of the car, sir. Right? And in Alcoholics Anonymous, those three things are just as vital, man. I gave you my home group, I gave you my sponsor, and I gave you my permanent sobriety date. And for me, I think we should say that at every meeting we go to. I chair a meeting on Friday nights at 9:30 p.m. It'd only be 6:30 your time. Some of you guys should come, but we do a big book meeting, and I try to get everybody there to say that. And it's really cool. Lindsay, good job with the advertisements. We could use you up here in Jersey. And great job, group. It's good to see everybody. Carl is just an amazing friend. I love his kids. And actually, I like the Seahawks, but they just get on me. And like he teaches his kids this program, like, let's go after Robbie. And I don't understand, but I feed into it, I think. Anyway, it's great to be here, guys. I love sobriety, man. I'm a cheerleader for sobriety. I'm like one of those, I'm one of those alcoholics, man. Like I got in a lot of trouble. I wasn't like, I got here at 22 years old. Okay. So you don't get to Alcoholics Anonymous at 22 years old if you had an easy paper route. You know, anybody in the Punta house, Carl, can you come on and tell me how to say that? I'm going to say it like 10 times. How do you say that?
Puente.
Oh, I got it. Puente. So everybody at the Puente house, raise your hand if you ever got in trouble because of drinking, right? Raise your hand. And drugs. Let me see everybody. Oh, look at all those hands. Thank you. I'm just making sure I'm talking to the right people because that's why I'm here tonight. You know, I mean, I'm here because, like, even though I was only 22 years old, I got in a lot of trouble. You know, like, you don't come here as a young person, because you say, you wake up one day and say, hey, I think I'm going to go to AA today. That seems like a place I want to be with older people, you know, going to a meeting for an hour, you know, like reading a book. Yeah, you know, and like I was waiting for him to sing, Carl. Like, who's going to sing? Give us some entertainment, you know? And, but it never happened. I came here under the lash of alcoholism, and through the grace of God, I didn't go back out. And that's because I got one of these big books. That's because I got one of them sponsored guys like Carl, you know? That's because I got a home group that I attend. That's because I got a title in AA. I'm our workshops chair, Carl, for our intergroup down here. I do. I don't know. You didn't come though, but I had Doug and Carla come to the last international. Joe, you taped it. We had 950 people. We're doing another one, Joe. So I'll let you know. It's June 7th. More will be revealed, but yeah, I got some of the usual suspects, Billy Ann and Bobby C and Beth H. So I got some friends, and I might be asking Carl. He just doesn't know it yet. But it's great to be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. I want to say hi to everybody, and all my greetings from New Jersey. My family's here; they're enjoying a nice dinner. My sweetheart brought me over a nice cup of coffee, and we're planning on a nice night after this. And that is sobriety. That is gratitude. You know, like I remember sitting. I'm not even able to say it. I didn't practice it. Well, I remember sitting in rehab. If I say that. I remember sitting in rehab, and I remember sitting in lockups. And I remember thinking, like, you know, nobody wants me around, right? You know, nobody cares about me, you know? Like, I'm never going to be like Carl, you know? I'm never going to be like Lindsay. You know, I'm never going to get my act together. They're never going to give me a job of importance, and kind of like that song. I think it's, band on the run, like stuck inside these four walls, sent inside forever. And I would sing that song early on, or the other song, Alone Again, naturally, like I was always down, man. I was always down and feeling horrible, and hating myself. And I know depression's a big deal. I get it. I was worse than that. I was suicidal. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand, but man, let me tell you something. I get what it's like to be, I get what it's like to be seconds away from killing myself. So when I finally got here to Alcoholics Anonymous, and these older people, Carl, they must have been 40, 450, like these older guys and women. I was a kid, and like they're all like, yeah, man, you never had it so good, kid. You're doing great, and like, come on, we're going to go to the diner. No, Charlie, I don't want to go to the diner with you. I don't want to drink caffeinated coffee at midnight. That does nothing for me, but that's what they would be doing, Carl. It'd be, that'd be over. Oh, here's a good one. We're going to go bowling, sober bowling. Come on, man. Like, I was like, oh, but here's the reality, guys. Lindsay, I had no choice. It was either join this motley crew of recovered alcoholics, or die. It says in the big book on page 30, we got to a point in our life where we had two choices. One was to go onto the bitter end, Carl, blotting out the consciousness of whatever's going on, and the other is to accept spiritual help. And many of us are like that. We're like, well, how bad will it really be? Like, what do you mean the bitter end? Like, how much time do I got? And the reality of it is like, I'd be in places like some of you folks are in tonight. And I would pray for the end. I remember one of my heroes, and some of, I know Carl and Joe knows him, Pastor Ed Budum from Davenport, Iowa. Carl, I know you spent many a convention with him as I did. And Joe, I know you taped him many times. There's a man very special in my heart. And he yelled at the convention one day. He said, stop telling people that if they drink again, they're going to die. That's a weak statement. No, they're probably saying when. Come on with it. Instead, say it. If you want to be a little more powerful, say, if you continue to drink and do what you're doing, you're going to live. I felt that. I didn't want to live this way anymore. Right, Lindsay? When I came in, remember when we got sober and clean, man? I didn't want to live any. It's like, no, I can't do this anymore. Staying sober, staying away from a drink a day at a time, and every once in a while talking to a sponsor. That's cake. That's cake, Carl. Joe, it's cake compared to what I used to have to do. Steal, rob, whore, con, manipulate, live on the streets, right? That's my story. I had to go through a lot of that stuff. Man, that was hard. It was hard. It was just hard staying messed up. And today I get here to Alcoholics Anonymous, and they have a book. And the book has some precise, clear-cut directions. I like that. I played a little football, Carl. How's that? And when I played football, the coach in high school, he gave us a playbook, right? Carl, we got the playbook. I was on the offense, and I looked at the plays. You know what I mean? I found out my tight end's going to do a button hook. I found out what that means. I watched the defenders from the other team. I watched them play, so I know if I'm going to throw it his inside or his outside. I watched the defensive end film. I know when he's leaning, when he's going to come at me. Okay, and I study that playbook, and I go out in the field, and I have a good game. Well, guys, this is my playbook. This is my playbook, and I got to know what's in it, and I got to find out about the enemy. Well, what's the enemy, Rob? Well, I'll tell you what it is. I read about it. I read about it here in the book. This helps us face our problems. I think the enemy's ourselves, right? We have to face the facts about ourselves. And once I could do that, all of a sudden, I admitted to my innermost self that I was an alcoholic, not to Carl, not to Joe, not to the counselors, not to my mom, dad, not to my girlfriend, not to my mom, but to myself, to my innermost self. I'm an alcoholic. And what am I saying? I'm saying, listen, I can't put it in me anymore. So what do I got to do? I got to come to you. I got to come to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I got to come with a group of people. See, I like all of AA. I like the book. I like meetings. I'm one of those weirdos. I like fellowship. You know what I mean? I like it all. I like dances. I like it all. And everything. I like it all. I like the smoker's lane. I like going to smoke. I don't smoke. I go out there because it's a different crowd. You know, hey, folks, I'm doing good. Yeah, how you doing? Good. Yeah, I hang out with them guys. And I don't even smoke. I like it all. I like the long drunk-a-log Carl. I love when Carl tells his message and how he gets excited when the guy tells more of a drunk-a-log and keeps on saying, go, go, go. Carl, I love that because that's what I do. I don't have an issue with open discussion meetings. I love it because guess what? Here's a really, really important issue. God is in all those things. My job, Dr. Paul says, and the story on page 419 of our 4th edition, and acceptance is the answer, is my job is just to look for him. And oh, by the way, that's from Pastor Ed. I got to look for the good or the God in others, but not for the bad, not for your issues, not, this meeting's got long drunk a lot. Oh, here comes Bedhead Henry. There you go. Oh, you got to talk about the big buck. And now we're all going to hell in a handbasket. Just don't think for the meetings. Listen, I'm good, man. And here's why I'm good, Carl, because I got here in 1983. Ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't differentiate the truth from the false. I couldn't tell the top from the bottom. And listen, I couldn't watch a Mork and Mindy show and understand what was going on. I was laughing at the wrong time, but I was crying. When I was in places like you guys are in, I was just shot out. And I was so shot out, and all of a sudden I would leave as shot out as I was and swear it off forever. And I'd run right back to the main manufacturer on my misery because I didn't have the playbook. I wasn't following the playbook. And I'm not talented enough to stay sober without help. I don't know about anybody else. I'm just not. I'm not. I need help. You'll see frogs around my house. Frogs. And what FROG stands for is fully relying on God. And hello, I got told a long time ago that if you see a turtle on a high fence post, he had help getting there. You see me in a nice suit in a nice house with a beautiful woman smiling at me from across the room, and just a beautiful life today. You're seeing God. You're not seeing anything about me. Tonight, as I share my message here tonight, listen, none of this is about look at me. All this is about look at him. And please investigate this program called Alcoholics Anonymous. Especially the new people, man. I love when I look at it. I see you guys like this, like leaning up in the chair, man. And I love that stuff. I understand body language. I'm a car dealer. Now, I know you would have never known that. Hey, Lindsay, I do commercials. That's why I like what you did. You're pretty good. I like you. But and so I know how to sell stuff. Okay, and I know what body language. I love seeing you smile. Sometimes I'm giving a message on Zoom, Carl. We do this a lot. You know what I'm talking about. And I'm looking around the room, and everybody's sitting like this. And I'm like, oh man, give me something. Give me a head nod. Every once in a while, I'll go like this. Give me something. Give me some love, because that lets me know at least that I'm saying something that's affecting you. And for me, like, all right, how about this? I'll get you to raise your hand. Who drank or drug because I like the effect? Anybody here? Yeah. All right. Any two-handers? All right. Thanks, Scotty. I appreciate that. Steve, attaboy. Pixel 3. All right. I know you got a name, but Sam K. And that's how I was. I'm an effect type dude. So listen to this. when I come to Alcoholics Anonymous, and I don't know about you, but I like to get an effect, right, Steve? And when I come to AA, man, I love it when I come to a meeting and I see people that are having, thank you, Dennis. I see you waving your arms. That's pretty cool, dude. And I love when I see people having fun, Joe. You and I, Joe, we've been to so many conferences and conventions together. And I love to have fun. I'd love to, but listen, all that aside, it says on page 15 of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, which might be 16, and it's 16 actually. And Bill Wilson said, some are shocked at our seeming worldliness and our levity, right? That means humor. Some are shocked, and I know, what's so funny? The guy with the red suspenders and the red tie, and guy from Jersey with the accent. What's so funny? I'm not this life sucks, right? Right? And here's the reality. Bill Wilson says, we understand that you may feel that way early on. But remember, just underneath this is a deadly earnestness, he says next. And let's get into that. Because listen, we're not a glum lot, right, Joe? We are just not a glum lot. I did a lot of things, and I'm going to tell you about a few of them. Thank you, Dennis. Rule 62's clapping. We did a lot of things out there. I did a lot of things. I did a lot of things that were like, some would say, just exciting things. I got in a lot of trouble. But, so when I come here, I love it. When I come here to Alcoholics Anonymous, and you guys are having fun today. You guys are saying, hey, Joe says to me, hey, we're going to do a conference at I don't know, where were we that one time in this big dirt place? We were at the stadium, and I don't know where we were, Joe. Somewhere out in Michigan. I don't even know where we were. And I'm speaking, I got a suit on, and there's all this dirt flying around. I think there were cows in the background. And he says, you're going to love it. And I did. And that's what sobriety's about for a guy like me. I didn't come here to say, hey, Angel, how you doing, man? Yeah, I didn't drink. Yeah, you neither? Okay. Hey, George. Hey, Tommy. Hey, Robin. You coming tomorrow, too? That's not who I am, man. I'm like, yo, Stevie, how's the woman, dude? How's everything going? How's the cats? Hey, yeah, you off parole yet, bro? And all that stuff. And I have fun, And if newcomers, it says in our big book, if they couldn't see the joy in our existence, why would they want to stick around? So I came here. Before I got here, I'll give you a little bit of I'll qualify just for a minute. Graduated Catholic high school, right? I got a job at a federal depository. And on that job, I gave myself gradual raises. This is before Ocean's 11 came out. I thought I was like a dude from Ocean's 11. I was planning this big heist. The problem is I worked there, and I was taking the money while they were open. Okay, I was skimming, we call it in Jersey. I'm skimming. And hey, Scott and Mick, I show up for work one day, bro, right? And there's two guys from the FBI there, right? Short, flat tops. I still don't, no offense if you're a cop in this meeting, but I still don't get along with guys with flat tops. And these two guys, Carl, I'm glad your hair's growing back. But these two guys had flat tops, Joe, and guns and handcuffs, and they took me out of that bank, man, as an 18-year-old kid. Now, Covina Group. Let me tell you what I looked like back then. This is back in 1979. This is back in 1979, and I had long hair, right? I used to put it down my ears like that, Kurt Cobain, right? Long hair, because I played football and whatever, and I had a slightly athletic build because I played football for 4 years and ran in calisthenics, right? And I got these ice blue eyes, right? So all those things I just mentioned are fantastic for girls in high school, okay? Very, 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 very bad for big dudes in prison with tattoos that look like Steve N. And it wasn't good, man. I wasn't it wasn't good. So now I'm 18 years old and I'm making some fun about it. But for real, man, I was scared. And for real, I realized, Carl, I was in trouble. And for real, Suzanne, I realized that the gig was up. And the judge gave me a year. and I'm 18 years old, and I got to be honest with you, I ain't got no prison story. It was the most horrific year of my life. I'm not going to give you my fifth step, but I can just hurry up and believe it was the most horrific year of my life. I got out, and I swore off alcohol, Carl, while in there. I swore it off. I went to Seventh-day Adventist meetings. I went to Christian meetings. I went to Catholic meetings. I went to Protestant meetings. I went to Baptist, Lutheran. Help me, Jesus. And I got out and I drank again. Not only did I drink again, I ran to booze. And that's my story. You know, Bill Wilson says it in here very well. He says there's many times where us alcoholics swear it off. And he says, and most times we mean it. He says the alcoholic, the heartbreaking riddle, right? And that's me, man. Did anybody in the room raise your hand? Did you ever tell people you were going to quit for good and for all? Barb, I could tell you. Yeah, anybody else? Yeah, Pammy, good girl. All right. Looking around the room. Okay, yeah, Steve, both hands. Even your sweetheart. Oh, Lindsay, of course. Yeah, and that's what we do, right? And I'm not going to do it again. And we mean it. And the next thing you know, I'm at the bar or I'm at the keg party or I'm at my buddy's house and there's all the dry goods and I'm all in. You know, I get a kick out of it sometimes, you know, like how some of us act in AA. Like, you know, for me, man, I love AA because, how do I say this right? There's always a position for you in AA if you want to do service work. Joe, would you agree to that? There's always a position for you. And the reason is only 10% of us do all the work. Right, Steve? I'm just saying, I'm just being honest here. 10 or 15, 20% of us do almost all the work. And I'm good with that. I mean, let me tell you something. I'm willing to I love sponsoring guys and I love, you know, teaching people how to be a leader. But listen, if you're not in, that's fine because I got work to do. Because the more work I do here, you know, the more altruism that I display, which Bill and Bob taught us, then the better chance I got of more insurance, as Dr. Bob would say, right? More insurance of staying away from the next drink. In fact, Dr. Bob said it best in his last message. I don't know if it's on my wall. It got replaced. Dr. Bob said in his last message, he said, we get out of this program, and he said this in 1950 at St. Louis at the International Convention, about 3 months before he died, right, Joe? And he said, we get out of this program in direct proportion to our zeal, our enthusiasm, and our stick-to-itiveness. Our zeal, our enthusiasm, and our stick-to-itiveness. And I like sobriety. I like rewards. I like life today. I like working, man. It's crazy. Like I dress like this at work. You know what I mean? Like, and I not early on. It took me 5 years to get a suit job. 5 years, but when I finally got it, man, I still work for the same dude that hired me 30 years ago. You know, and like, you know, I love this right here. It says, I don't know if you can see it, but it says, don't tell God that you have a big problem. Tell your problem that you have a big God. See, because when I finally got sober, I was that's right, Steve. I was a 3-time convicted felon. So at that bank, that's grand larceny. That's a bank larceny, right? I stole a vehicle. I got a little thirsty and I went to Jersey in a stolen vehicle from Philadelphia. That's grand theft auto. It's not a game. It's a real felony. And the last one, I burglarized a church. And each time I would be locked up, I'd be sitting there. I can't do it, but I'd be sitting there like this, my head down, prison blues on, tattoos up and down my arms now because I want to be hips looking cool, like the dude I'm doing time with. I learned how to play spades. I learned how to play chess. I learned how to play handball, right? I don't want to learn what's in this. I'm having too much fun. As one of our friends used to say from California, too much fun. One day I was lying in an alleyway. Let's get sober. I was lying in an alleyway one day, and I was 22 years old, guys. I don't know how old everybody here is, but I know I see a lot of young people. And I was 22 years old, and I hated myself. Jails, prisons, rehabs, mental hospitals, the whole enchilada. Parents kicked me out of the house, living on the streets, hated myself. And some dude came into my prison, and he had one of these books. He had one of these books, Carl, these big books. And he would come in every Wednesday night to Holmesburg Prison on State Road in Philadelphia. And he would say, tell me what a good guy I am every Wednesday night. And I always had the smoke hanging out my mouth, the stubble on my face. Yeah, okay. Good to see you, Bobby. Thanks for showing up. Bobby told me one time, he said, listen, he says, one of these times, you're going to have it so bad and you're going to feel so bad. I want you to just say, dear God, please help me. And I'll never forget that. And one day I was laying in the field in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I was 750 miles away from Philadelphia. I was on the run from the law. I had a stolen car, and I was holed up in a hotel, and I didn't know which way was up. And I got a watermelon, and I got a bottle of Bacardi 151 rum, right? And I got drunk, and I had my head in my lap. And once again, I'm a loser. The hotel back then, it was a lot easier to do things state to state and not get caught. And I used the credit card of some other dude, and for the hotel. And I knew it was only a matter of time where they caught up to me. And I figured, well, maybe I'll be dead before they get me. And I'm drunk, and I'm laying in the field, Carl, and I'm 22 years old. And you know the relationship you have with your kids, right? And you know the relationship I have with mine. And my own parents didn't want to have nothing to do with me, In fact, they were just glad I was away, just waiting for a hospital call to be identified, by my toe. And long and short of it, what happened was I asked for help instead. And I asked for help, and I looked up in the heavens at 22 years old. No rhyme or reason, Laura. I have no idea why this was the time. I didn't know it. I didn't know it was going to happen. And I just said, dear God, please help me. And I'm not sure why. But the long and short of it is when I did that, something happened. Okay. And what happened was I ended up going to the Al-Anon Club in Kalamazoo, Michigan. At 933 South Furniture, I heard you guys are raising money for an Al-Anon Club. And I'm sure I'm going to try to help. And the reality was I showed up at this Al-Anon Club in Kalamazoo, Michigan, 22 years old, on the run. Oh, by the way, did I mention I was a fugitive from justice? I was already running for another crime. The AA members didn't care, Carl. They just said, hey, man, welcome, Robbie. Welcome. So who am I today to try to tell people this is the way we should be doing AA? Really? I'm not here to tell the Covina Group. I can tell with 68 people plus the room, you got 100 people here. I can tell you guys got it going on. You don't need a guy like me. I'm only here to shout the great tidings like Ebby did with Bill. Bill Wilson on page 19 said, what drew him to Alcoholics Anonymous is Ebby shouted the great tidings of sobriety. And that's all I'm doing. I'm a shouter. You can see already. I'm a cheerleader. I drink Kool-Aid. If you're one of those guys that are always against people and raising your hand at business meeting and creating ways, you won't like me. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy that I'm always rowing the boat. Right, Barb? I'm always rowing the boat. And I found out a long time ago, Carl, if you're rowing the boat, you don't have time to rock it. And that's what I got taught. So I'm a rower, man. I'm not even that guy in the back that yells out, go or stop or wait or left. I'm not even, I try to do that. And all my buddies say, yo, Rob, relax. We're okay. Like I'm still waiting for Donald Trump to call me. Hey, Robbie, we need your help. You know what I mean? That's my ego. But he really doesn't. So here's the deal. I got sober. got sober. If I can get sober, anybody can get sober, man. 3 times convicted felon on the run from the law, 2 different vessels. Nobody wants to be around. All I got is you people in AA and Al-Anon Club, and people coming there, Lindsay, every day, 9:30, 12 noon, 5:30, and 8 o'clock at night, 4 times a day. And I stayed there. I stayed behind the Al-Anon Club sometimes. I can tell you right now, I'm in a beautiful shore house. I can tell you there's a Jeep Wrangler downstairs. There's a beautiful woman over there, going to keep my dinner warm. And I have a great job, and I got no issues, none. I'm good. I know. I got faith. It says in the big book, check it out. It says we go from the bridge of reason, right, to the shore of faith. And I don't want to get stuck on that bridge of reason. I don't want to run out of gas. That's why I go to a lot of meetings, right? That's why I hang out with people that are sober. That's why I hang out with people that love AA with all their heart and soul. I hang out with Carl. I hang out with Joe. I don't know anybody else in this room, but I'd hang out with you if you love AA with every fiber of your soul, or if you're willing to try. You know, all we need is willingness, man. I got taught a long time ago, willingness means action without reluctance. I'm willing, man. I'm just going to do action. What do you want me to do? I got to put the coffee on. I got to run a workshop. I got to go to a convention. My big thing at conventions, I used to be a counter for the sobriety countdowns. I was the counter, Joe. That's all I used to do, you know? And now they got me being the voice of a lot of them. And every once in a while I get to share at some of them. And I'll tell you what, like, I just can't believe what has happened to me as a direct result of taking these simple steps, clear cut, precise, really no gray area. Now, it even tells you, it's so weird. Like, if you really read it, like when I used to play football, like Stevie, if you were my wide receiver, right? I know you look more like a left tackle, but if you were my wide receiver, me and you, Stevie, like, you would go out. You know, I know when you do 10 and out, I'm throwing the ball a yard before you start to cut, and I know your speed, and we got the timing, right? Well, it's the same thing here. There's 10-step disciplines. And it tells me when I do something wrong, it's in there. Right away, I try to I talk to somebody about it. Right away, I try to make amends. Right away, I go to God and say, dude, I messed up. What do you want me to do? And then I resolutely turn my thoughts to someone I can help. Boom, it's right there. I don't have to go to 10 meetings and try to get attention and talk about it every meeting. If I got a sponsor, I can be done with it probably in 15, 20 minutes. And I hate doing 10 steps, 9 to 10 steps. I hate them. You know, I don't like making amends. So I try not to do wrong things today. There's a lot of good deterrent here in Alcoholics Anonymous, right? So what happened was, man, my sobriety, like, it didn't just go. That's not my story. I'm not like an actor that started in the Titanic in the lead role. Okay. My first 5 years were tough, and I just grinned and bared it. You know, back then we didn't really take the steps. Back then we went to meetings, and we went to young people's conferences, and we danced and had fun, and we did whatever we had to do. But, like, you know, my sobriety was slow. And I think that was good because I was building a foundation. Like, it didn't happen right away. I think my message there is have patience. In fact, on page 163 of the big book, I think Bill Wilson says it a lot better than me. And I'm going to read it to you. This is really crazy. This is 163 of our big book, gang. If you got your big book, it says, well, we know what you're thinking. You're saying to yourself, but I'm jittery. I'm alone. I couldn't do that. But you can. You forget that you've just now tapped a source of power much greater than yourself. To duplicate with such backing, what we have accomplished is only a matter of willingness, patience, and labor. That's it. Willingness. Thank you, Bill. Thanks for my thank you, Bill. Because that's willingness, patience, and labor. Willingness. I'm willing to have action. If something, when I was in those early rehabs and in those jails, okay, whatever you say you want me to do, I got to get a sponsor. Fine. Will you be my sponsor, Joe? Joe says we're going to go to do this first, second, and third step. And I'm like, okay, you know? And then he gives me something to write down for the fourth step. And I write it down. And I go through my resentments. And I go through my fears. And I go through my sexual conduct. And I say, Joe, I'm done. He says, okay, meet me at the group. And we're going to go over it. And I do it. And then he tells me about 6 and 7. And it's only 2 paragraphs. I like that. 8, 7, he's like, 2 paragraphs. Boom, boom. I like that. I like, quick. In and out. 8 and 9. Hey, listen. 8 and 9, I made a list of all persons who got harmed. And there's that willingness again. I became willing to make amends to them all. And 9, I just do it. I go home and I say, Mom and Dad, I did wrong. I'm in AA now. What can I do to make it right? And then I heard the answer, as long as you don't drink, son, you're going to be okay. My sponsor warned me about that. He said, don't let them tell you that. He said, tell them you want to make amends. I had stolen my father's car. I had taken thousands of dollars from my parents. And they allowed me to make amends with them properly. Today I do that. I help my mother now. She's in a nursing home. And I was there for my mom when my father passed. And, I'm still making amends. And this is a lifelong process, it says. This is not something that we just start and like, oh, I'm good now. I got the house. I got the kids. I got the car. I got the bank account. I got the RA account going. Woo! See you later, AA. Peace out. Thank God that ain't what Bill and Bob did. Dr. Bob stayed with this thing to the very end. Bill the same way. All they wanted to see was other alcoholics get this thing. And through the grace of God, because of their fine example today, I'm able to understand what my job here today is. My job here today isn't to say, look at me. My job here is to say, look at what we got. Look at what's in front of us. There's a song by Lauren Daigle called You Say. Raise your hand if you heard You Say, Lauren Daigle. Everybody know that? I love that front row, black sweatshirt. Very, very good, very good. And yeah, Sammy and Michelle. Oh my God, great song. I say I am weak and he says I am strong. I say I am not worthy. And he says you are not only worthy, you're going to change the world. Ladies and gentlemen, we get out of this universe what we put into it. Ladies and gentlemen, I am telling you, I hated myself so much at one point that I tried to absolutely kill myself in a prison with a weapon. And today, I used to be a tornado roaring through the lives of others, just like it says in the book. And today, because of Alcoholics Anonymous, just for today, I can be a healing wind. Now listen, hurry up and believe. You got to have the skin of a rhinoceros to stay sober and to stay active in Alcoholics Anonymous. Any heads there? Anybody active in AA? And you got to go through a lot of stuff. And a lot of people will talk, especially if they get jealous or envious. I became a delegate in my area. I got this really neat job. I got to speak at the International Convention in Toronto in a stadium. Woo! And the problem is that gets you some enemies. I don't know why. I'm a cheerleader, man. They always say, watch for people that don't cheer for you. Boom. And I always cheer for people, man. If you're one of my guys and you're starting to do good, see, good leaders produce good leaders. And that's what I got taught. Good leaders are never worried about somebody usurping their power because they don't have no power to begin with. That's our problem, lack of power. And that's why we go to a God. And that's what I seek today. And when I find that power, my job is to this is my experience. This is to put your hand in God's hand. That's all I got taught. We're walking each other home a day at a time. Who am I? I think that my next book is going. I became an author. I became an author in Alcoholics Anonymous. I was leading. So listen to this. I'll share an experience. I'll share some hope with you. So that guy I told you about, Pastor Ed Newham, Joe, he used to be a retreat leader. He could only do so many AA events after a while because he was leading retreats. And so I kid you not, Pastor Ed passed, and the following weekend, I got asked to lead a retreat. Say what you want, but wow. And I started leading retreats. And I was leading retreats, and I was creating all this stuff for listen to this, guys and girls. I'm leading retreats. I'm leading Al-Anon retreats, AA retreats, Matt Talbot retreats, Serenity retreats, 12 steps and music and inspirational stories. And I'm walking around the crowd of 100 people, and I just love it. And I can let my light shine. And I started giving out, listen to this, I started giving out, I never shared this before in a meet. I started giving out like Lindsay, if I would come as a retreat leader, I would give you a big program. I'd have it all the song, like we're going to do 8 days a week from the Beatles, and I'm going to get everybody up, and then we're going to have the second step, and then we're going to talk about, I don't know, just fun stuff. Well, I would give out these things, and this Catholic retired nun, she was the mother superior at this retreat house. She saw me 2 years in a row, 3 years in a row, 4 years in a row, Stevie. And one time she says, Robert, can you come to my office? It's like Sunday morning. I'm like, oh, I'm in trouble. I used to get a lot of trouble in Catholic school. And I'm an alcoholic, so I think I'm getting in trouble. So she says, close the door. And I closed the door. I'm still a little scared. I got to be honest with you. And she said, and she got on the phone, and she got her publisher on the line. And we talked, and she said, you are going to be an amazing author. You got to put what you've been given to I was a woman's retreat that I do, and there were nuns that attended. We would do this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine out. I threw all that stuff in there. Had a great time, right? And of course, it was all around program. And they helped produce a book for me for free. And I became an author. Seconds and inches. You know, if you had told me that, Joe, when I came in on October 31st of 1983, that I was going to have a career that's going to be beyond my wildest dream, that my owner was going to put me on commercials, that I was going to get hired by Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep to do national videos and be a trainer and go around the world and be a motivational guy. And I would have probably punched you in the face if you were a man. And if you were a woman, I would have probably walked away and said, why are you making fun of me? You don't know who I am. I'm an alcoholic and I'm an addict and I hate myself and I'm always one step away from suicide. Stop it. But here's the title of my second book. God had different. And my only job was just to make myself available. I would tell my wide receivers, get open. If it's fourth down and it's fourth and goal, we're down 4 points. Just get open. Just get open. And I'll throw a ball to a spot and just get open and make a play. Somebody make a play. You guys block. Somebody make a play. And that's what this is about. This is about teamwork. You know, this ain't about me being a star. This ain't about Carl being the ball. This ain't about Joe being Joe, you probably be the water boy. I'm just saying. But the reality of it is it takes us all. And it even, you know, here's the only thing it doesn't take, and I'll end with this. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't be a spectator here. Please don't be a spectator. You may be new, and you may not know what's in this book yet, and you may not have a great idea what's in these 12 steps. But let me tell you something. Please stand next to the coach. Stand next to the coach. Stand next to your sponsor. Stand next to somebody that's got the book in their hand, that has an idea of how this thing works. And just stand there and stay with them. If they're going to an assembly, go. If they're going to an intergroup meeting, go. If they're going to a business meeting, go. Stay away from Deadhead Henry. Says, that's all politics. Run from a guy like that. He's going to kill you. And stay with us positive people. And before you know it, your sponsor is going to turn to you and he's going to say, you're ready. Put your helmet on. Time to go in the game. If you're a woman, get your pom-poms and get out there. It's halftime, you know. And before you know it, you're going to be in the game. And once you get in the game, then you're going to make a play. And you're going to make another play and another play. And then you're going to find out what it's like to be on part of the team. And then you're going to find out what it's like to win the big deal. And here's the big deal. The big deal is when one of your sponsees gets up there on stage and they raise their hand or they're up there and they're getting their 1 year cake. And they say, I'm Bobby and I'm not alcoholic. And today I got a year. And yeah. and you realize it's just like Dr. Bob said in his last message, that he realized at that point that it's something him and Bill did some whatever at the time, I guess it was 20 years before that look what happened. So as I close, I'm going to say this. I don't know who this message was for tonight. I know I just know I was grateful to be here. I was grateful that Carl asked me to come here and to give the message. I can tell you that I'm not too keen on me. I don't think that much of myself. I don't. I come here to be uplifted. I come here to meet my friends, my alcoholic friends, and to be uplifted. And that was my job here tonight. I hope that somehow I could uplift a few hearts here tonight. I hope I gave somebody a little bit of hope. And hope stands for hang on, pain ends. And that's what it means to me. I got these things up here because I'm sick. I don't got these things up here because I'm spiritual. I got these things up here so I can see them and I can live them. AA's coming out of a coffee up there because that's what I need. I need to go surfing and sit on my board on a beautiful sunny morning and just thank God from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet and just say, thank you, God, for another day sober. Thank you for a chance at a new way of life. And this is a way of life. This is not a theory. I'm not too impressed with me and what I can do in 48 minutes. But I hope that what I could do after this until my next meeting is much more important. I hope I can be a good guy. I hope that people can say, hey, man, I'm glad, Robbie, that you're in my life. And I promise I'll end with this. Here's what I think. And this is my ending, Steve. You ready? Because I'm a sports guy, right? So I think I'm going to be on second base, gang, right? It's my favorite way to end. I think I'm going to be on second base and there's going to be a guy like, let's see. I'm going to look around the room. Tom Peters. Tom, I can tell you played ball in your day. And I'm going to be on second base. Tom Peters is going to be up. He's going to get the bat. He's acting like Willie Martinez. He's got that bat going. He's got that arm going. And I know. And I take a lead. And there's 2 outs. And it's a tie game. And Peters, we call him Peters. Peters hits the ball up the middle. And I go from second to third. And there's a guy like Peter Bizance. And he's a third base coach. And he's trying to hold me up. Peter's trying to hold me up. He's saying, stop, Rob. You're not going to make it. That center field's got a good arm. And you know what I do, Peter? I go right by you. Because people, all my sobriety have been telling me to stop. You can't do it. You're a 3-time get telling stop. You're a suicide survivor. Stop. You're just not going to be able to make it. You're never. And I go past you, Peter, because Alcoholics Anonymous gives me that courage. And I go past Peter, and I'm between third and home, and there's Steve N. And Steve N's a big boy. He's a big boy, and he's the catcher. No, you're the catcher. You're trying to block the plate, and he's trying to block the plate, and I go in head first, right? I go in head first, and Peter comes down hard on me on top of my helmet. I feel the ball hit, and I feel my hand touch the bag, and I don't know what's going on, Tom, okay? And finally, the dirt clears, and this is the end of my life. And there's my higher power, and his arms are out like this, and he says, safe. And then he says one thing. He says, I gave you a gift on October 31st of 1983, Robbie Walker. You took that gift, you gave it away for free and for fun. You didn't care what people thought about you. You didn't care what people said about you. You didn't care about being ridiculed. You just took my book and you took it in the most sordid places on the earth. Welcome home. Ladies and gentlemen, get this program. Grab it. Grab on to somebody that loves AA, man. And I'll tell you, it'll be the best thing you ever do for yourself. Peace out.